I'm Chris from JBL, and very happy to be here at NoiseGate. Thank you very much for the invitation. My career started in Seattle. I worked in the radio industry at a couple of radio stations in Seattle. Moved to Boston to finish my degree at the Berklee College of Music. I was in the music production and engineering department there at Berklee. I joined Guitar Center shortly thereafter and worked at Guitar Center as in several different positions, including the last one as a buyer or a business manager for Guitar Center. At the same time, I owned and operated my own recording studio out in Los Angeles. I've been involved and attached to several projects in the both in Europe as well as in the United States. I was fortunate enough to be on staff at the when we recorded the Colorado Symphony Orchestra a few years back. Article was featured in Mix magazine, and we got a really great recording of the orchestra, all digital, in their performance of Beethoven's Ninth Symphony. Sure thing. JBL was actually the first company to come out with a studio monitor. The Iconic was a monitor that came out in the 30s, and it was the first of its kind and features some very specific advancements in studio monitors. The 4310 and 4311 were also some very popular models that came out in the 70s that really kind of cemented JBL's standard and legacy in the desktop studio monitoring platform. And even as you kind of move forward to today, in modern times, the product portfolio for JBL is quite impressive, starting with the M2s, which are the flagship product for JBL's studio monitor line, going down to the 7 series and all the way down to the 3 series, which won a Tech Award this year at the 2019 NAMM Show Tech Awards banquet. The environment in the recording studio over the last 10 to 15 years has changed a lot. So the need for the M2 really kind of arose out of the transition from many purpose-built studio facilities to what we're seeing today, which is sometimes converted buildings or converted rooms that get converted into a studio that weren't purpose-built as a studio but ended up being part of a conversion at some point. And those rooms really need a highly accurate, very precise studio monitor, as well as one with very high output, because the size and space of the modern studio has changed a lot. So that was really the genesis of the project. The M2 has some very specific technologies that were advanced with regards to the both the woofer tweeter as well and the waveguide as well. So one of the requirements for the M2 was high output at the mix position in a very small footprint studio monitor. We wanted to make sure that we could deliver a very high output and hopefully do that in a two-way system, because when you get to three-way and four-way systems, these systems get very large and also very expensive as well. So that was one of our objectives, and we really made some advancements in design. So one of those requirements was high output. So we knew that we couldn't get this type of output out of a traditional dome tweeter. So while it's very unusual to see a compression driver, we designed a compression driver from scratch that would really meet the requirements of the discerning studio owner and deliver very high output and also be very accurate and neutral. So the D2 compression driver was really what came out of that discussion. So it has an annular design. It has an annular design, and that combined with the image waveguide really allows the speaker to deliver a sweet spot in a much wider area than in a traditional monitor. waveguides and tweeters that you'll find in traditional monitors will oftentimes have very, very good tunings while they're on axis. But when you start to get off axis is where you find performance issues that may be contributed by either the tweeter or perhaps by the room. Specifically, frequencies from like 1 to 4K may fall off axis very quickly, or you may find that there's a reflection in the room and on a hard surface that when it bounces back to the mixed position causes some shall we say interruption in the sound field. So it's really the combination of the D2 compression driver with the waveguide that delivers a very, very broad sweet spot, plus or minus 60 degrees from on axis, which really gives us 120 degrees of coverage. So the benefit is that someone who's sitting in the mixed position can actually get off axis by usually a pretty wide degree and still maintain a very even, neutral response from the speakers. There's been a lot of support for the M2 since they came into the market, specifically on the broadcast side. These are in broadcast installations, both on the East Coast and the West Coast of the United States. We also have them placed in broadcast facilities in South America as well. And they're also extremely popular in post and mix facilities. We've got them all across the United States. We've got installations in Europe, in Asia, and it's really a product that's been embraced globally. And in fact, I just learned here on my trip to Australia that there's a very, very unique case that they're being used here in Australia that I've never heard before. So all the math, all the design goes into the net result of all that goes into a speaker that's very, very neutral and provides a lot of detail. The specification on the M2 is rated and measured up to 40 kilohertz, which is well above the range of human hearing. But what it does is that allows for a very detailed experience and a very accurate snapshot of the audio while you're sitting at the mix position. The Crown amplifiers are a great match in terms of power and DSP for the M2s, specifically the DSI amplifiers. There are 4 channels that are required, 4 separate amplification channels that are required to drive a pair of monitors, both a pair to the tops and a pair to the woofers. So, and generally you'll want to specify about 1,000 watts per channel for maximum output. So the 7 Series monitors were designed out of a need for really 2 main things. One is some of our partners in the broadcast and post community had made a request for a small format, high output speaker system. So if you take a look at the 5s, both the 5 and the 8, the 705 and the 708, these are very small, compact monitors that deliver high output. And the needs for a broadcast facility or a post-production facility are very specific. Typically for those engineers and those customers and those users, they'll need close to 85 dB at the mix position with an additional 20 dB of headroom. So that was the specification that was required when we brought the 7 Series to life. The reason why the 7 Series features a compression driver is because at the mix position in both broadcast and post, these speakers are being used as typically as midfield monitors as opposed to near field monitors. So we still need to deliver the same high output, but we need to do that over a longer distance with virtually no distortion, because it's pretty easy to turn up the volume on a speaker, but what you'll wind up with typically is a lot of distortion. So we realized that a dome tweeter was not going to work in this situation, that we had to go with a compression driver, and that was why we were able to fold down some of the technology that we have in the M2 series into the 7 series. So the Intonato is really the piece that kind of closes the loop on the 7 series as a system. The Intonato does a couple of things. Number one is it does tuning. So if there are any low frequency or high frequency anomalies in the room, those can be tuned out using the software and the firmware in the Intonato. Number two is it allows you to calibrate the room. So the system can store and retain all of the gain settings and the gain structure for all of the speakers that you may have in the room. And that may be something as simple as a 2.0 or a 2.1 setup, or it could be all the way up to a multi-channel, multi-speaker system in an immersive environment or in an Atmos environment or in some other multi-channel or multi-speaker environment. The third thing is scene and system configuration. The Intonato allows the engineer to mix in a 2.0 or a 2.1 system in the morning, and then change the scene or change the setting and mix in a full immersive system in the afternoon. So all of those settings can be stored as scenes in the Intonato, and allows the user to really a lot of flexibility in how they work. Pro studios and post-production facilities will typically need speakers with a small form factor, a small footprint, and high output. So the good thing about one of the benefits of the 7 series is that we offer powered versions and non-powered versions. So regardless of where the power distribution is in the studio, it gives the user the flexibility of designing a system that really works for them. So we made some advancements in the design and technology, and we wanted to really fold down some of the design work that we had done with the M2s all the way and cascade that down to the 3 series. So we improved the waveguide for starters. So again, this is a standard feature for JBL, a very, very wide sweet spot with highly accurate detail. We also improved we also added a feature, to the back panel, so we now have a full complement of user-adjustable low-end adjustments as well as high-end adjustments that they can make. We have a +4, -10 sensitivity switch, and of course a gain switch. So it really allows the user or the owner to make the adjustments that are required for the room that they're mixing in. Sure, the image control waveguide is a patented JBL technology that started with the M2. What the image control waveguide does is it allows the horn, the driver, and the waveguide to work together to provide a very wide sweet spot, both horizontally and vertically. Yeah, the benefit to Project Studio owners, as well as all 3 series owners, is that the same design and technology that we have in the M2 and 7 series is cascaded down into the 3 series. So they really receive professional voicing and professional performance out of a studio monitor at a low price point, a very affordable price point.